AI may be changing how we build software, but when systems go down, the fundamentals of instant response still matter. Today, I'm joined by Robert Ross, the founder and CEO of FireHydrant, who recently joined the Freshworks family. Robert built FireHydrant after experiencing firsthand how chaotic incident management can be inside large and growing technology organizations. We're going to talk about what really breaks down during high pressure moments, why fragmentation slows decision making, and how modern teams can design workflows that help rather than hinder when it matters most. Robert, great to see you here.
Thanks for having me.
Robert, you founded FireHydrant after living through incident management chaos firsthand. Take us back to that moment. What was the breaking point that made you think there's got to be a better way? And why does this problem matter even more today than it did when you started the company?
Yeah, so there was this moment in I think it was 2013, and I was working at a company in New York City, and it had like every common incident trope. It was Friday, it was 5:30 p.m. We had a happy hour scheduled, and then a database got dropped accidentally, customer data gone, whole thing went down. And then we also had IT also performing maintenance on our Wi-Fi that night, right at 6. So I get paged. I think I stood up in the middle of the engineering bullpen and said the database is gone, to my own disbelief, I think. And we started fixing it, and then the Wi-Fi turned off. We had to find a different conference room in the building. And there was about 20 of us in this tiny conference room on a different floor. People were sitting on the ground. And then another database got dropped because another engineer who wasn't there didn't get the memo that we were trying to fix the problem, and they accidentally performed an operation that dropped another backup. And it ended up kind of dissolving into chaos. We had the C-suite calling our phones. And after that, after the dust had settled, it was really this moment of there has to be a better way to manage incidents. This was far too chaotic, far too much customer impact. Morale was impacted, revenue was impacted. And only a couple years later, I started writing the first lines of code for FireHydrant after being on call for many years and living through that same type of situation multiple times. And it resonated. The market responded. They said, yep, we have these same problems all the time too. It's chaos. And we would love to have a tool in our tool belt that helps manage that.
So, in the past, teams would have to try to, as you were describing, just sort of scrum in a very ad hoc way. And, you're in spreadsheets, you're in ticketing systems, all of the above. When you are talking to customers, either back then or now, what is that cost of fragmentation, in terms of time or in the leadership's credibility with their customers? What have you seen when things go wrong in terms of the absolute cost to the organization?
I think of cost of incidents, the impact of incidents in three layers. The first layer is revenue. The immediate impact from any business to a lot of organizations is going to be the bottom line. And then the second is opportunity. You have engineers that are context switching away from what they're doing. They're building new products, they're innovating on new technologies, and they're kind of ripped away from that to work on this incident. And the third is morale. And each layer is much harder to rebuild than the previous. And in the heat of a moment, when you have an incident, it can really distract the whole organization. This is not just an engineering problem. The support team is going to get lit up on their phones, their emails. The marketing team might need to pause email campaigns that are going out because they might put in an email campaign and people can't visit the site. Sales has to reschedule demos because they can't demo. So there's all these ripple effects from engineering related incidents. They start there, but they really kind of expand throughout the whole organization very, very quickly, especially for high severity incidents.
And often, we think of incident management as a technical problem, but as you just described, it's really a organization and a leadership exercise. What distinguishes those organizations that handle those problems, instances well from those that kind of spin up and spiral?
I think the organizations that have a moment where they say to themselves, we are going to have incidents, and how we respond to them matters more than trying to prevent incidents, are the organizations by and far that outperform others. They have the best response times, they have the best communication, and they treat incidents as a function of the business. They hire teams for incident management. A lot of the organizations that choose FireHydrant, it's not the engineering team that buys it. It's actually the incident command team that buys FireHydrant, who have been given this responsibility for when there is an incident, you respond to it. And it's a fast growing title, actually. There's a lot of incident commander openings that I see now. And those organizations, because they treat incidents as a first class function of the business, they learn from those incidents the most effectively as well. Because what they've done is they've essentially created this psychological safety in the organization, saying when something is on fire, we will respond to it, be effective at doing so, and we will learn from it so that this type of incident doesn't happen again. And those people are trained to facilitate these retrospectives to really pull the right information out of all of the engineers and people responsible during the incident. And you can see this in every other industry. Software is just the latest to kind of fall into this same pattern. Airline safety, been doing this since the 1970s. The number of miles flown now before a fatality in airline safety has only gone down since the 1970s. It used to be about 1 million miles. Now it's about 6 million miles. You can see it in fire safety in New York City as well. New York actually tracks the number of major fires versus casualties. And those numbers have been trending down since the 70s because of things like mandatory smoke detectors, better materials that are less flammable. Mattresses now have to be made with material that can't combust as easily. And so every industry has kind of gone through this. Software is getting there now too. And the businesses that have really adopted that same mental mode, they're getting the most bang for their buck for every single incident. Because there's a good phrase out there by a man by the name of John Allspaw. He says, incidents are just unplanned investments. Every incident you have, it's a good opportunity to go reevaluate where it happened, reinvest in that area of the business.
That's really interesting. And yeah, it's a learning exercise, and you're basically creating a learning organization by accepting that these are going to happen and we need to learn from them. We need to get better every time.
Yep.
So now you got AI and everybody is adding AI into workflows. What have you seen that actually is effective, and where do you see AI as kind of not being effective currently in the space?
Right now, I think the first thing that we see AI being an effective tool in the tool belt is making sure that stakeholders that are kind of outside of the central command of an incident are brought up to speed. So, for example, there are a lot of executive teams that get notified when there is a major incident ongoing. And what you'll see in those cases is the executive team might join the Zoom call, they might join the Slack call or the Slack room and start pinging the team for answers and updates on the incident. And that's basically the equivalent of a homeowner going up to a firefighter that's helping put out the fire, asking them when are they going to be finished putting out the fire of their house. And we think that AI is a really good example of taking all of the action that's going on in the incident, a Zoom call that's going on, transcribing that in real time, and providing summarized updates, personalized, summarized updates to the right people in the business. It gets them up to speed. It kind of keeps them out of the mix of the incident. That's one use case. A second use case is actually bringing up familiar incidents within the business. It's uncommon, or it's uncommon to have the same exact incident happen 2 times in a row, but it's very common to have the same type of incident with the same kind of genesis that starts that incident. So how can we use AI to quickly elevate, well, here's how we fixed it last time, to the team that is responding to it? Because it might be 2 a.m. It might be very late. They might have just been ripped out of bed to go fight a fire. If there's something that you can provide that team with, hey, this has happened before, and these are kind of the steps generally to get there, much easier to help them, let them fix it. And then the third that I also see is that there is a lot of augmentation that can go on with these teams as well. We can see engineers in our own team, when they see an error they don't quite understand, they're in a part of the code base that maybe they didn't write but are responsible for now. They can use AI to really understand it and be more of a mech suit to help them put out fires much faster.
One of the things that from kind of wearing a pager, or actually being the person who's responding, is that there are alerts coming in all the time, and your software needs to really absorb some of that complexity and help the people actually know what to do? And how do you design software that does that?
I think really good software includes really good telemetry out of the software as well. It has to go somewhere. You have to have really up to date documentation, really a central place that you can also see the neighborhood, is what I like to call it. Because if you have a dependency graph, you have an asset catalog of everything that is running in production. You have addresses that you can drive to more effectively. I think that the businesses that we see fighting fires more effectively is they have a catalog and they have assigned owners of those services within our tools. And the reason that that's faster is that, again, going back to the fire department analogy, if you call 911, what's the first thing I ask you? What is your emergency and where are you?
Hmm.
And because of that address that you give them, they know which fire department to assign that can get to you the fastest. And if you don't have an IT asset catalog, if you don't have a service catalog that maps out the places that fires can happen, you're going to take an inefficient route to get there. And code quality is that's the obvious answer here, but I think that sometimes just getting to the fire the fastest is some of the best incident management that you can do.
Before Freshworks acquired it, have been successful, in particular in winning very large, sophisticated accounts like Major League Baseball and Palo Alto Networks in the face of much larger competitors. Why do you think you've had such success?
Yeah, this is the part where I'm allowed to brag a little bit. I think that the success that we had here was because we created a consolidated platform that wasn't really Frankenstein together. It was actually really purpose built from the ground up to accommodate the entire life cycle of an incident. From incident management, the heat of the moment, we went one step left and we built the on-call scheduling functionality into the product. And we made sure that it was this really seamless baton handoff between on-call incident management into the incident retrospective, learning from the incident, status pages as well. And we really thought about it. How can we get engineers from 15, 20 tabs during incident management in their browser to one? And when we did that, it really resonated. It was a single place, a single bill that customers could start fighting fires really effectively. That was one piece of it. And I think the second piece of it is that we understood that the metrics in our system should be how engineers go to bat for themselves on initiatives. We understood that if we can show engineers progress on incident management or lack thereof, that's a data point that should be brought to a boardroom and say, hey, we can actually make a lot more money if we invest this amount of dollars into our reliability story within our platform. We will make our customers happier. We will reduce our churn. And that's not a metric or tool chain that people historically had. And I think that because our product is used by people on the ground, used by people in management meetings to make decisions, I think that two sides has been really, really powerful for us in our platform.
Okay, so now you're part of Freshworks. Describe a little bit about why you decided to join us and what are you excited about going forward now that you're part of a larger organization?
When we joined Freshworks, the biggest thing that we were excited about is we see the overlap between the organizations. Going back to the history of FireHydrant, we had that major incident database drop. That was the engineering side of the house, but it was compounded by the IT side of the house not being connected to the same tool set. We had Wi-Fi maintenance going on that, if we had the same tools, that team probably would have said, well, let's hold off on that Wi-Fi maintenance. They're fixing an incident on the engineering side. I think that there's also a benefit for having the asset catalog of everything you're running in production in your office as well. And those were features and functionalities that we simply just didn't have. And falling into the same theme of, well, how can we be the one browser tab for everything? Incident management. Well, now not only do we do that, but we also can leverage the power of the Freshservice platform with our integration that we released a month and a half ago, as well as IT asset management with a lot of those functionalities being released recently as well. So it's about putting everything into one platform that makes the whole experience measurable, actionable, and obviously with a lot of the features we saw in the Freddy AI stack as well, we wanted to plug into that as well because that was something that we really wanted to accelerate our development on.
So, Robert, last question. 5 years from now, what do you think is going to be the same about how incidents are managed and what's going to be different?
So first thing is incidents are here to stay. We still have fire departments. We still have people that need to go to fires if our sprinklers and everything else fails. There still needs to be someone that needs to jump in and put the flames out. What I think is changing right now with software is being built more reliably from the start. Reliability was kind of an afterthought in a lot of applications. And what we're seeing now is we're actually seeing AI come into the picture, and we're seeing it write code that is maybe more durable than someone else writing it. And I think in 5 years, what we're going to start to see is the incidents are going to change. We're going to start to see incidents that are far more complex. We're going to see incidents that are going to need more AI because the systems that we are building are just more advanced. And we're going to have to hold hands with it. We're going to have to really acknowledge that these systems are going to get more complex. It will not be possible for a single human being to maintain all the context of these systems in their own heads. And the sooner that we start understanding and locking arms with AI for incident response, incident management, those businesses are going to be much better positioned than those who do not.
So, Robert, thank you. What stood out for me in this conversation is that incident management, it's not just about uptime, it's really about building a resilient organization and an organization that expects that incidents will happen and is built to respond to those instances and, equally importantly, learn and improve from those problems. So, thank you, Robert, for the conversation and for the insights. If you're navigating similar challenges from platform modernization to operational resilience, I'd love to hear from you and how you're thinking about it and what your approach is. Stay tuned for more conversations with today's top tech leaders coming soon. Thank you.